Okay. Boleh. You open unmute lah your device. Okay. You may start.
So can everyone see my slide?
Yes.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Nadia, and I'll be presenting case 1 for today's clinical case presentation under Dr. Taufik. Okay, so for our case, first of all, for the chief complaint, we have Nuha Tasina, a 2-year-old Malay girl admitted to Hospital Tengku Ampuan Afzan due to rapid breathing for 1 day duration with no underlying condition. Her history of presenting illness, according to her mother, Nuha was apparently well until 3 days prior to the admission, where she had cough and fever. The cough was chesty in nature and productive with yellowish and whitish mucus. It was prolonged, the coughs were prolonged bouts and worsened when she was physically active. And the cough was also severe enough that the patient was unable to sleep comfortably at night. The mother tried to relieve the cough by applying some ointment on the chest, but there was no sign of improvement. So other than that, there was 2 episodes of post-tussive vomiting that contained digestive milk and sputum. So otherwise, there was no barking, no whooping cough, no facial congestion, and no cyanosis. So regarding Nuha's fever, it came together with the cough. And Nuha was warm on touch with no temperature recorded at home. She presented with no chills or rigor and noticed that the fever was actually progressively increasing and worsened at night. And on the second day of illness, her mother took her to the nearby Klinik Kesihatan and prescribed with syrup paracetamol and cough mixture. However, the symptoms still did not seem to subside. And the cough and fever were also associated with runny nose, with yellowish and whitish nasal discharge. And her mother also told that both the parents had history of recovering from fever, cough, and sore throat from the past week. So she assumed that Nuha might got infected from them. And there was no loose stool, no reduced urine output, bowel output and past urine was still normal. And apart from that, she denied any rashes, any episode of fitting, history of water activity, no travel history, and they don't come from the dengue prone area. So the patient was actually noted to be less active since the fever and cough started and had reduced oral intake because she usually takes bottle feeding for 6 times per day with 5 ounces each, but now it was reduced since she was unwell and only drinks 3 times a day with 4 ounces each. And she also had minimal solid food intake of only quarter of plate, which she usually eats half of the plate. So on the 3rd day of the illness, the mother noticed that Nuha was having rapid breathing during the bouts of cough and was unsure of any chest indrawing. But there was no wheezing sound. And she was noted along with the rapid breathing. So as soon as the mother noticed, she brought her daughter to the emergency department for immediate medical attention. So for systemic review, for general examination, currently the Nuha is pink and active with no rashes. Her hand and neck shows no swelling, tenderness, redness, or discharge from the eye. There was also no ear discharge. So for respiratory, apart from the cough and rapid breathing that she presented, there was no sore throat or hemoptysis. She also, in cardiovascular, presented with no cyanosis, shortness of breath, orthopnea, paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea, or no ankle edema. And for gastrointestinal, she didn't have any constipation or diarrhea, no hematemesis, melena, abdominal distension, or jaundice. She also had no yellowish discoloration of the skin and sclera. She had no bruises or bleeding tendencies. no weaknesses, and also no fitting episodes or no abnormalities. And for her past medical history, this is actually her second hospitalization. Her first one was previously at Hospital Jarantut, where she was admitted for acute gastroenteritis, and where she stayed there for 2 days. Otherwise, there is no known medical illness or no history of asthma or allergic rhinitis. So for her dark history, she was only prescribed with syrup paracetamol and cough mixture 2 days before her admission. Yeah, okay. And she has no known allergy. So for her birth history, her antenatal was uneventful. Prenatally, she was born on the 38th week via spontaneous vaginal delivery, and postnatally, she had neonatal jaundice for 4 days, but was not put under phototherapy, and she had no NICU admission. Okay, and for her immunization history, she had completed her immunization up to her age according to the table by Ministry of Health Malaysia, and as you can see here. And then her nutritional history, the patient was Nuha was breastfed up to 1 month, and she started with bottle milk feeding. She also started weaning at 6 months with rice porridge before gradually mixed with veggies. She was also currently on Fernley full cream milk, and her current meal usually includes rice and chicken. And for her developmental history, she is growing well according to her mother, and the growth chart is also within the range of her normal age. The developmental milestone of this patient is normal and corresponds to her age, such as gross motor, able to walk and run, fine motor, to hold pencil with palmar grasp and scribble, speech, she's able to name 6 to 7 body parts and could say 3 to 4 words such as me and air. However, she's missing one category, which is her social history, under developmental history. And for her family history and social, so the patient, her father is a government worker with the mother as a businesswoman. So both of her parents actually have no family history of asthma, eczema, except for the allergic rhinitis. They live at Penuh Utarajaya with 3 occupants. They just moved from Puchong 3 months ago. Their house is not located close to any industrial factories, and there are no pets or carpet at home. And according to her mother, Nuha was previously sent to the nursery until 1st October 2019. Then her mother stopped sending her and took care of her by herself. So she complained that her daughter always drank tap water during bath time and claimed that there was no water problem in their house area. So summary of her history: Nuha, a 2-year-old Malay girl with has no underlying chronic condition. She presented to HDAA with rapid breathing for 1 day duration, with prolonged bouts of cough and fever, and she had history of sick contact with her parents. And this is actually her second admission, with her first admission into Hospital Jarantut for acute gastroenteritis the previous month. Okay, and then next, for her physical examination, so the patient was awake. She was tachypnic but not pale, jaundice, or cyanosed. There was no signs of respiratory distress or pain. She was conscious and active with no signs of eczema or rashes. Her hydration status was good, and she had a cannula on her left hand, but it was not actively infused. And then the peripheries were warm to touch, and the capillary refill time was less than 2 seconds, and she presented with no pedal edema. So for her temperature, she's actually borderline high, so afebrile. Her heart rate is normal. Her respiratory rate is increased, so tachypnic, and she also has high blood pressure. And then her atoprometric measurement, her current weight is 12.9 kg and current height is 90.5 centimeters. Okay, so for her respiratory examination, the patient is tachypnic, and on inspection, there was no nasal flaring, no perioral cyanosis, no facial congestion, no abnormal breathing pattern. And then on the chest moves with respiration, there was suprasternal and mid-subcostal recession with no intercostal recession. Her trachea was actually central. And on percussion, the lung was resonant at all zones. And on auscultation, the vesicular breath sound can be heard. Entry was equal in both lungs, and there was generalized crepitation. Okay. And on palpation, the chest expansion could not be properly assessed. The vocal resonance and tactile parameters also could not be assessed. In her cardiovascular examination, there was no significant finding because there was no precordial bulge, no visible pulsation, no surgical stars, and no deformity noted. Her apex beat was still in the left fourth intercostal space at the mid-clavicular line. There was no trail or parasternal heave. And auscultation, the first and second heart sound was heard, and there was no murmur or any added sound heard. Okay. And on abdominal examination, there was also no significant finding. The abdomen was soft and not distended. There was no area of tenderness and guarding. The liver and spleen was not palpable. The kidney was not bloatable. The bowel sounds were normal. And there was shifting dullness and fluid flow was not done. And even in her neurological examination, there was no abnormal finding with no abnormal posture or involuntary movement. The tone, power, and reflex were equal. Cranial nerves were not assessed. So, in summary, Nuha, a 2-year-old Malay girl, was presented to the emergency department of HTA with rapid breathing for 1 day duration with evidence of chest recession. It was associated with cough that had the characteristic of yellowish, whitish sputum, fever, and also post-ulcerative vomiting. She was actually active and pink, but had decreased oral intake, and there was generalized crepitation over the chest. Okay.
Okay, stop dulu. Okay ya. Review dari awal dulu lagi, start balik. Alright, little bit criticize sikit. You get the Microsoft Word file ni kan, kalau you present macam ni kan susah orang nak baca.
Oh.
If you present a slide tu PowerPoint presentation kan ada rule of 7 kan. Paling banyak 7 line, and then macam summary tu kan. Kalau baca ni paragraf ni macam kita baca macam kita baca jurnal je, pening kepala dia.
Oh, sorry doktor.
And then better you make short data and then you present very detailed. Baca. Alright. Okay, ya, itu je. Okay ya, this is 2 years old with ini our first discussion about case kan? Ke pernah you discussion saya sebelum ni?
Tak pernah, tapi ni past case daripada senior.
Okay, tahu. Alright. Yang penting lah how you present a case ya. Alright. First, ini dah betul chief complaint is the main complaint that lead the patient to be admitted kan. Betul kena rapid breathing ya. Jangan patient you letak chief complaint for example fever sahaja atau cough sahaja, because patient with cough will not be admitted ya. Patient will be admitted due to rapid breathing ya. Itu je to be highlighted how you present a chief complaint. So another important tips for me, chief complaint tu usually will reflect the diagnosis. Contoh tadi kalau you just letak patient with cough sahaja, maybe you diagnose as pharyngitis, URTI je kan. If you want to diagnose with more serious cases, usually patient with rapid breathing, so it will be lower respiratory tract infection ya. So, nak tanya saya cari ni unlucky group 1 ni. Siapa je? Aisyah Humaira ada?
Ada.
What is your professional diagnosis? Nak diagnose apa?
Professional diagnosis. Pneumonia.
Pneumonia, okay. Sasha Shamimi.
Yes, doctor.
Are you agree with pneumonia or you want to give other diagnosis?
I think also goes for pneumonia.
Okay lah, most likely will be pneumonia ya. Tapi kita nanti discuss some differential ya. Okay, if you want to diagnose a case pneumonia, memanglah in chief complaint you should put rapid breathing as the main complaint ya. Okay, so you must understand that pneumonia is a lower respiratory tract infection characterized with rapid breathing. Patient usually ada URTI symptom but with rapid breathing. So sign or features of lower respiratory tract infection to compared to upper ya this one, the respiratory distress ya. So if no respiratory distress, patient usually only have URTI. Kalau you nak diagnosed with lower respiratory tract infection, letak respiratory distress. So now you must know the difference between tachypnea and dyspnea ya. Ain, apa beza tachypnea and dyspnea?
Tachypnea, there's decrease
Decrease.
Yeah. And then dyspnea. Tachypnea. There's decrease breathing rate and
decrease.
Increase.
Increase, okay.
Dyspnea, there's difficulty breathing.
Okay, ya, itu yang kenapa you must understand that rapid breathing is tachypnea only kan, is increase in rate only. But if you want to diagnose patient with pneumonia for example nih, you should explain a difficulty in breathing, respiratory distress, shortness of breath boleh. Despite rapid, you should get other features. Apa aja yang you tanya, apa yang ada kat situ? On the patient nih, features. Other than tachypnea, rapid breathing, apa lagi dia features lain? Of respiratory distress.
Dia ada cough, fever.
Cough and fever is not the features of respiratory distress, no.
Oh, respiratory distress.
The chest retraction.
Chest recession, good. Apa lagi?
The uses of accessory muscle.
Okay, good. Baru 2.
Next, self-flaring.
Self-flaring, good. 3. Next.
Tracheal tug.
Tracheal tug, okay lah, tapi jarang lah. Kita tak discuss sangat. We don't concern initially tracheal tug. Apa lagi?
Vomiting.
Distress.
Vomiting.
Vomiting, no lah. Vomiting tu dia usually post-acid vomiting. Dia kalau batuk-batuk, muntah je. Not necessarily karena distress dia jadi vomiting. No. Alright, apa lagi? Patient kalau in severe distress kan patient usually dia napas menjadi grunting kan kita sebut. Dia nampak lethargic with grunting, nampak weak cry, grunting. Okay, and then another one is noisy breathing. Patient can have stridor, can have wheezing. Okay, and then yang kalau most severe features of respiratory distress apa? Kalau severe sangat dia ada respiratory failure, dia jadi apa patient?
Cyanosis.
Cyanosis, pale cyanos. Nampak sometimes pale dulu, tapi yang classic features of failure ya cyanosis ya. So all these possible features of respiratory distress you must ask when you interview the parents and then present ya. Which mana satu yang positif atau mana yang negatif ya. Negative is not necessarily negative ya, because sometimes mother or parents doesn't notice ya, or didn't notice. Usually another tips tu kalau you present jangan in history ni jangan letak no nasal flaring, no chest indrawing, letak je mother didn't notice ya. Because possibly actually there kan, when you examine maybe actually there. positif, tapi parents tak tahu. Kalau you present no nasal flaring nanti jadi salah pula. So ya, you present all the possible features of respiratory distress, tanya and present. Itu yang penting kat situ ya. Because it will determine your awareness kan. Kalau you tanya semua paham, oh patient ni ada nasal flaring, ada chest drawing, but no cyanosis example. So maybe ada only mild respiratory distress or moderate. Ya. Kalau dah ada cyanosis, ya severe. Ya. Tuh, alright. And then causes of respiratory kita discuss causes juga ya. Sorry, kalau tachypnea tadi is not specific for respiratory problem ya. Patient with increased respiratory rate is not due to respiratory problem only ya. Can be due to other situation or condition ya. Simple patient with anemia pucat pun dia akan tachypnea. Patient with fever, high grade fever dia tachypnea. You all lari-lari pun tachypnea ya. Takut saya tanya pun tachypnea kan. So in stress situation pun boleh tachypnea. But if patient with respiratory distress, so it is not only tachypnea, even the rate pun sometimes no high ya. Ada patient with mild respiratory distress, when you count the rate dia still normal. Tapi dia ada nasal flaring tadi, for example, or chest indrawing. So we should assess that this patient ada mild respiratory distress, even though respiratory rate still normal. Oke, itu ya. Furthermore, kalau udah recognize or notice, assess, oh this one ada memang betul respiratory distress, so memang most common kan respiratory problem, lower respiratory tract, pneumonia nih, atau other lower respiratory tract illnesses. Tapi juga ada possible dia cardiac problem ya. Patient with heart failure usually will show features of respiratory distress juga. Oke, so itu ya yang kena paham, and then you present betul-betul kalau you have a case macam ni ya, pneumonia. Okay, and then other features of respiratory infection macam cough, runny nose, fever. Okay, you describe betul macam tadi. And then other symptom tak ada kan ini kan? Just respiratory symptom je lah kan? Ain.
Yes, doctor.
Okay, next slide. Okay ya, systemic review. Masa you interview kan you tanya semua all system kan, any problem ke tak? Itu kan, it is the importance of you do a proper complete clerking tu supaya kita tak miss kan. Maybe memang patient datang karena pneumonia, tapi maybe ada other problems kan that ED people, orang yang in emergency maybe miss the diagnosis. So we should check satu-satu memang any other issue ke tak. But masa you present supaya time dia efficient presentation, tak payah you sebut satu every system ni. Sebut je kalau memang the problem dia memang only respi, you cakap je other system unremarkable ya. So tak ada problem lain. Sama macam tadi yang physical examination pun you just present di respiratory examination, yang other system unremarkable, cakap je. Kalau you present satu-satu every systemic review you present, semua pun negatif, tak ada isu, and then every PE, every system you present, tak ada finding, lama nanti. So macam tak fokus your presentation, habis masa pun nanti jadi habis pula, tak cukup. Okay, next. Proceed, next. Ain. Mana? Halo? Ain, hilang ke?
Terputus ke saya, doktor?
Ada dia masih. Dia off video je. Kau pergi tandas. Takkanlah tertidur. Ni ada. Next slide. Ain. Right. Okay, so other part of history. Tengoklah kalau acute illnesses macam pneumonia ni kan, hopefully memang yang lain just go through for routinity only kan. Ini pas medical, okay, tak ada ya. Memang dulu AGE selesai kan, memang pas kan. Pas illnesses tak ada chronic atau long term problem ya. Drug allergy, so and then yang beza different pediatric posting with adult medical atau posting lain pun ya, we focus on children kan, so pediatric history start from birth kan, even start from the antenatal kan. So yang ini at least you present one by one, even though very short ya. Kalau macam ni kan memang uneventful betul, okay, and then born bukan prenatal ini peri ya. Kalau prenatal tu with antenatal sama ya. Perinatal ya, born full term kan 38 week. SVD is not vaginal ya. Memanglah root tu boleh vaginal, boleh abdominal ya. Yang abdominal kan cesarean section. Tapi yang vaginal delivery kita ada SVD yang vertex delivery, maknanya dia vertex ke kepala ya. Ada bridge presentation. So vaginal delivery itu ada dua ya. Boleh SVD, boleh bridge presentation. SVD itu vertex ya. Ada lagi instrumental delivery, vaginal delivery juga tuh. Pakai vacuum, pakai forceps. Semua tu are vaginal delivery. So SVD itu yang specific for vertex delivery. Oke, ini one simple je kan. Kalau tak ada isu ya full term SVD, birth weight 3.0 kg, postnatally dia jaundice for days, requiring fototerapi, selesai ya. Next. Alright, so vaksin macam tu, and then growth and development. Growth tu you start from the diet or nutrition tu, makan macam mana cukup ke tak. If adequate diet, we expect growth will proper or appropriate ya. So maknanya tengoklah kalau your patient ni nampak good body build, tak kurus, nutritional history maknanya should be okay lah, tak ada issue. Okay, and then you close the presentation of nutritional and diet history itu with growth. Patient macam ni kan, currently itulah you mention patient has appropriate growth atau apa. Kalau ada growth problem, you should go more detail about the diet ya, because most common causes of malnutrition or failure to thrive ya, is nutritional problem ya. Kalau tak ada isu, nutritional should be okay. And then development juga ya. After growth, development there are 4 areas. Masa your interview, you tanya satu-satu kan. Tapi kalau no developmental problem, ni kan pneumonia aja kan problem. Masa you present cakap je developmental history is appropriate or according to or correspond to her age. Selesai pun tak apa, tak payah cakap satu-satu pun okey. Okay, next. Ain. Okay, so belum history tak habis. Apa lagi yang history? Ni. Jangan lupa ada family and social. Family tu you acah-acah nak buat family tree macam tu actually not adequate ya. Kalau proper family tree is at least 3 generation ya. Kena ada grandparent generation, parents and children. but it is important kalau dia ada inherited diseases, what more yang apa nama X-linked or apa ya kromosomal yang disorders ya, yang tiada in the family. Kalau X-linked akan nampak only in male. Kalau autosome dia kalau resesif ya 25% chance. Kalau autosome dominan dia 50% chance. So supaya tahu inherited illnesses disorder itu kena at least 3 generation. Kalau only parents and child ini tak nampak apa-apa inherited problem. Tapi tak apalah, ini kan bukan case inherited disease ya. Oke, family sosial ya yang ada. Oke ya, kalau kalau case-case acute macam ni maybe not really need details ya, tapi kalau ada case macam asma, you present what are the features or triggers, and then ada family atopy, at least you boleh sebut macam ni kan, biasanya pneumonia betul tak dia only pneumonia or maybe ada underlying asma, betul you boleh can add on more details of the history in here. Okay, next PE ya. PE tadi ya sama ya. When you present the current illness kan the problem is pneumonia kan. So mainly you focus on the features of distress tuh, features of pneumonia. Masa PE pun sama. Tengok kan pasien tachypneic, tapi not cyanose. Apalagi features yang lain. Ini yang salah ya. Cakap there was no sign of respiratory distress. Serong lah kan. Tachypnea dah ada. Kalau you tak no other sign boleh. Tapi better you mention kan there was no nasal flaring, no chest indrawing, no grunting, no noisy breathing. Boleh sebut. Tapi actually this patient is in respiratory distress kan, dia ada tachypnea, ada respiratory tract problem. You should comment that patient in distress tapi mild ya. Patient was in mild distress as she was tachypneic. Vital sign nampak dia RR ya. Normal ke tachy ni? Hai.
Tachypnea.
Okay. Kalau neonates berapa dia tachypneic? More than berapa?
More than 60.
Okay. Infant more than 50 ya. Kalau infant sampai setahun ya. And then kalau ini kan umur 2 tahun more than 40 ya. So senang ya. 40, 50, 60. Ini kan dia 50 dia more than 40 dah. Patient dah umur 2 years old. Ya. So memang tachypnea. So you tengok sikit tu anthropometric punya measurement tu dia okey je kan, weight okey 50 to 75, height pun tinggi juga ni 90 cm. Okay ya, so tak ada issue with growth kan. So okey je, just go through, yang penting respiratory examination jumpa crepitation ya. Ini ada mild subcostal recession ni. Itulah. Jadi kontradiktif kan. You cakap pasien tachypneic ada subcostal recession. Tapi you cakap no distress ya. Salah lah, pasien in distress lah tachypneic. Even the chest recession pun boleh present masa general examination pun boleh ya. Okay, and lang ada crepitation. So okay, agree ya, diagnosis pneumonia. So we discuss diagnosis. Next, apa differential? Sekarang tanya yang lain. Udah keluar pula. Tak apalah. Alright, so Aiman, Tanya grup 1 je ni hari ni ya. Yang grup lain saya tak tahu. Aiman, mana Aiman? Halo. Mana Aiman?
Hello.
Ha.
Yes, doctor.
Okay. Dah baca lah. Jadi tanya apa differential. So you agree ke tak agree ni? Discuss yang mana satu dulu differential.
Can you repeat?
Sorry apa? Halo?
No, nothing. Yes, hello.
Nah, itulah discuss yang mana dulu? Bronchiolitis dulu, boleh? You agree ke tak? Differential bronchiolitis.
Yes.
Agree?
Yeah, agree.
Agree?
For differential diagnosis.
Jangan letak situ yang points against number 1 tu. Patient's age is 2 years. You faham tak diagnosis bronchiolitis tu?
For other differential diagnosis.
Kenapa? Your house ni bising sangat lah ni. You duduk mana ni? Kat rumah ke kat kedai? Kat rumah ke kat kedai? Kat tempat lain? Hello? Kat mana Aiman? Tak jawab pula. Boleh dengar saya kan? My voice should be pretty clear.
Dengar apa?
Nah, siapalah Aiman ni, at least ada lah. Tak boleh discuss dengan dia. Afiq Idham. Okay, you agree tak bronchiolitis?
For bronchiolitis, based what on I have read, acute bronchiolitis actually commonly occurs in children that less than 2 years old.
Yes. Mainly pun less than 1 year ya. Tapi kita boleh diagnose bronchiolitis sampai umur 2 tahun. Patient ni 2 tahun lebih kan umur kan? Sekejap ya. Sorry ya, pause. Okay, we continue ya. So patient ni 2 years plus kan?
Exactly 2 years.
Itulah, tapi tak apalah. 2 tahun ni memang dah letak situ point against number 1 patient is 2 years kan? So we don't diagnose bronchiolitis kalau 2 years and above. Why? Because actually patient develop bronchiolitis tu develop edema of bronchioles and lead to respiratory distress. Usually dia ada rongkai juga kan. So ada lower airway obstruction due to edema of bronchioles ni. Kalau dia still infant, still setahun sampai umur 2 tahun pun. Kalau dia dah 2 years and more, when the bronchioles is inflamed, dia tak akan give distress, dia tak akan bunyi. Karena the size of the bronchioles sudah besar. Inflamed tak ada apa dia. Kalau still less than 2 years, especially infant, dia karena small size of bronchioles, dia bengkak sikit terus obstruct. Jadi bunyi lah, jadi distress patient and bunyi rongkai, lower airway obstruction ya. So we don't diagnose bronchiolitis lah in this case. Memanglah tak payah lah. Tak payah differential. Differential means actually diagnosis yang still possible ya. Nombor 2, asma. Asma tu in this case memang unlikely dia differential dia banyak sangat because it is only first hospitalization, first admission, no recurrent symptom, no family atopy. We don't diagnose asma lah in this case pasti. because the criteria diagnosis of asthma pasti dia recurrent ya. Asthma is a chronic lower respiratory tract obstruction characterized with rhonchi and recurrent. And then kalau you letak diagnose pun kena proper ya. Kalau patient datang asma ni kronik kan, memang patient bronchial asthma can be in healthy condition macam kita kan, in good well control condition. Kita sebut bronchial asthma patient tapi well. Tapi kalau patient datang dengan macam ni with respiratory distress, apa your diagnosis actually? Ain.
Yes.
Apa yang proper complete diagnosis apa kalau patient asthma come to emergency with respiratory distress, apa your diagnosis?
Bronchial asthma.
We already label the patient with bronchial asthma, for example ya. Patient bronchial asthma can be well. Kalau patient bronchial asthma well tuh come to clinic, ya, diagnosis still bronchial asthma lah. Bukan kalau dia well, oh patient asthma dah sembuh. There is no recovery from asthma. Ya, asthma is chronic disease. We will always give or label patient with bronchial asthma. Paham tak? Kalau patient bronchial asthma come with respiratory distress, apa diagnosis dia?
Is it pulmonale, doktor?
No lah, kalau dia affect the heart, ya ada heart failure due to asthma, kita sebut pulmonale. Apa proper diagnosis apa yang complete?
Status asthmaticus.
Status tu apa old term lah. Sekarang kita dah tak pakai status tu. Status tu actually apa life threatening asthma tu, status asthmaticus. Apa yang sekarang apa?
Can it be exacerbation of bronchial asthma?
Yeah, can you repeat?
Exacerbation of bronchial asthma.
Exacerbation itu acute or chronic? Acute lah kan. Tak pernah tahu ke awal ni. Patient datang with distress, kita diagnose as acute exacerbation of bronchial asthma. Furthermore nanti you classify the severity, dia boleh mild exacerbation, moderate exacerbation or severe, atau yang life threatening asthma. Kalau life threatening asthma ya dulu kita sebut status asthmaticus tu. Tapi sekarang we don't use that terminology anymore ya. Okay ya. So kalau you letak patient with rapid breathing diagnosis asthma, salah lah. You kena letak proper. It is acute exacerbation of bronchial asthma. Even this patient pun again we don't diagnose asthma lah in this patient. Lagi satu yang bawah lagi, URTI. Siapa panggil seorang lagi? Muhammad Zulfarhan. Ada kata ni?
Ada tu.
Okay, agree tak with URTI?
Tak agree je.
Why?
Sebab apa ni? Sebab dia ada respiratory distress and then finding masa exculpation tu dia ada finding.
Cukup lah tu. Patient URTI don't give distress unless dia ada upper airway obstruction. Kalau patient for example dia tonsillitis yang sampai obstruct boleh ya. Ada diphthery tonsil tu dia boleh obstruct, give upper airway obstruction distress juga. But very rare kan. Usually URTI don't give features of respiratory distress. And then auscultation pun dah ada Krebs kan. So this patient's problem is lower respiratory tract infection, bukan upper ya. So it is different side kan. Kalau dah lower ni kita tak letak URTI as DDX. Patient dah pneumonia. Kalau you letak DDX better you letak ada lower respiratory tract illnesses. Bolehlah yang bronchitis asma ni kalau memang dia baby asma, kalau recurrent.
Doctor, can we replace empyema lung abscess for the DDX for for example.
Lagi teruk lagi. Usually we diagnose empyema kan after X-ray findings and do some drainage kan chest tube insertion ya. Lung abscess pun sama from the CT juga. It is not primary diagnosis lah. Kalau patient macam ni senang je letak bronchitis kan. Acute bronchitis masih boleh. Pneumonia yang lain boleh tak? This one kan bronchopneumonia kan. Pneumonia itself pun ada dua kan. Can be bronchopneumonia, which is majority, 90% of case will be bronchopneumonia. But another 10% can be a lobar pneumonia. Okay. Kalau lobar pneumonia apa your expected findings?
Consolidation doing auscultation.
Before that kan percussion ya. When you percussion nampak dullness, bukan
dullness.
You hear dullness on percussion. And then again ya we need X-ray lah for lobar. Boleh kalau macam ni better you letak. Especially kan bronchopneumonia most common. Kalau you tak bronchopneumonia kan 90% betul lah. Ada possibility lobar tu, you letak as differential kan. Letak je lobar pneumonia. So memanglah kita masa perkas tak jumpa consolidation, tak jumpa dullness, tapi we need X-ray nanti. Okay, satu. Dua is other pneumonia. Pneumonia kalau bronchopneumonia, lobar pneumonia kan due to the infection. Ada lagi tak other causes of pneumonia?
Bacterial, viral.
Virus.
Dan semua tu infection. Boleh je kalau you nak put differential ini bacterial pneumonia, viral pneumonia boleh. I will okay with that. Boleh ya. Another way to give differential tu whether it is bacterial or viral. Usually kalau bacterial tu patient will severely ill, need antibiotic. Kalau viral maybe patient just mildly distressed, okay je without antibiotic. Ya. Boleh letak. Okay, boleh lobar pneumonia, boleh bacterial pneumonia, viral pneumonia. Yang non-infection sebab apa patient boleh pneumonia? Lain tak tahu? Yang lain?
Is it atypical pneumonia?
Atypical is also infection lah. Atypical pneumonia means usually most common due to mycoplasma ya, mycoplasma infection ni. Ya pneumonia tapi patient not in distress. Jadi dia ada asyik demam, batuk-batuk tak hilang-hilang. Actually pneumonia but not distress. Kalau patient in distress ni ya, we don't diagnose as atypical lah. Tapi boleh je lah you letak. Maybe pun boleh juga patient with mycoplasma pneumonia ni dia jadi distress juga boleh. It's less likely ya. Okay. Apa yang non-infection?
Aspiration pneumonia?
Aspiration boleh kan. Patient kan masih kecil ni 2 tahun. Apalagi kalau baby still breastfeed maybe insyaAllah ta'ala. Kalau formula feed, bottle feeding, aspiration boleh juga tak aspiration pneumonia. Kalau 2 tahun boleh juga bukan minuman, bukan susu, tapi apa? Not a fluid tapi can be apa? Solid ya, solid material kita sebut foreign body inhalation or aspiration ya. Boleh je patient main-main benda biji-biji tu kecil-kecil dan inhalated ya, boleh. Foreign body inhalation pun boleh letak differential. But usually kalau yang non-infection ni dia tak ada demam kan. Patient ni demam ya. So tu ya pasal differential. Yang ni jauh semualah, yang ni acute bronchitis. Tak, asma pun jauh lagi, dia masih first illness. Tak ada rongkai pun. Dan URTI apa lagi ya. Ini kalau letak diagnosis di DX macam ni salah semua ni. Markah wrong. Oke ya, sekali lah saya discuss satu hal pasal apa upper and lower airway ya. Group of illness that cause upper and lower airway will be different ya. Features pun different ya. Kalau upper airway, usually you hear a stridor ya. Upper airway obstruction I mean ya. So stridor macam tadi yang I cakap dia ada tonsillitis diphtheria for example or laryngitis diphtheria. Dia will have stridor. Kalau yang lower airway obstruction, your finding will be bronchi or wheezing and or wheezing. So where is the limit cut off mana upper mana lower tu?
At the thoracic inlet.
At the
Thoracic inlet above and
thoracic inlet ke mananya? Kat mana? Airway location kat mana? Laring ke? Laring ke bukan? Ain? Laring ke bukan Ain? Oh Ain. Hilang lagi deh. Oh ada. Oh you are mute.
yes, doctor.
Laring ke bukan? Hah? Sorry? Hilang lagi. Jawab. Laring ke bukan? Jawab aja yes or no.
Yes.
Yes. Yang lain agree tak? Jangan unmute lah kan. Jangan mute lah. You presenter kan. Presenter mute pula. Asyik mute pula. You cakap penat-penat tak ada orang dengar.
Takut echo.
Oh sebab you pakai two devices ya. Yang device satu je yang presentation you mute. Yang yang dipakai untuk bercakap you unmute lah. Aisyah. Mana Siti Aisyah?
Ya, doktor.
Agree tak? Mana limit cut off between upper and lower airway tak?
Above thoracic inlet is upper respiratory. Lower respiratory.
Okay, kalau in view URTI memang above laring, tapi kita cakap airway ni. Airway tu from nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchus, bronchi ya. Bronchioli and then barulah sampai ke alveoli. Alveoli is not airway kan, alveoli is the respiratory organ. So yang upper tu sampai laring juga. Yang tahu ke?
Yes. Up to larynx.
Yang lain upper airway tahu sampai mana? Tak ada yang jawab nih. Upper airway itu sampai ke
larynx.
So larynx and trachea still upper ya. Bukan kalau larynx trachea dah lower, no. Memanglah URTI itu ya sampai dia pharynx and nose je URTI. Tapi kalau upper airway dia sampai ke rhina, larynx and trachea is upper airway ya. So kalau obstruction of the larynx trachea ya masih upper airway obstruction. So bronchi and bronchioli lah baru dia lower airway. So kalau you get patient with upper airway obstruction with stridor, maknanya problem dia can be at pharynx, maybe nose pun boleh, can be at larynx and trachea. Stridor tu usually dia harsh sound, dia low pitch and inspiration usually, tapi boleh both inspiratory and expiratory. So suara ni dengar ya. Masa tarik nafas dia bunyi. Tu bunyi kat situ kan is from the vocal cord tu, from the laryngitis. Tapi kalau bunyi lower airway obstruction on the bronchioli example atau bronchitis, pasien asma tu atau pneumonia ada bronchospasm, dia bunyi on expiratory wheezing and rhonchi, ya. This one lower airway obstruction, selain dengan upper airway. So the noisy breathing, if you get a case of noisy breathing, so you must be sure whether it is stridor or rhonchi, because different side kan. So ini stridor ke rhonchi, you kena pastikan betul. Kalau istri tanya dia masa tarik, nah tarik kan masa hembus, when inhale ke exhale. Kalau dia when inhale stridor, so possible disease ya macam tadi lah, maybe tonsillitis diphtheria, tapi this is rare kan. Tapi most common dia croup kan. Acute laryngotracheobronchitis, acute obstructive laryngotracheobronchitis, di upper airway. Dan lagi satu is epiglottitis, itu upper airway, will give stridor. Ya. But kalau the finding will be wheezing, noisy breathing on expiration, kita sebut wheezing, itulah kalau in infant ya bronchiolitis, kalau recurrent with family atopy ya AEBA ya, acute exacerbation of bronchial asthma. Boleh juga foreign body itu boleh mana-mana ya, kalau ya sama lah, kalau upper airway akan stridor, kalau lower airway you should hear rhonchi juga. Oke, itu ya. So nanti if ada case with noisy breathing, you must state lah mana satu ya. And then differential diagnosis kena lain ya. Jangan you letak patient with stridor, you letak diagnosis bronchitis or asma, salah. Kalau wheezing, you letak diagnosis croup ya salah ya. Kalau wheezing you letak bronchitis asma boleh. Oke, dah. Next, investigation. Oke, kan tadi yang penting nak tahu ni lobar pneumonia ke, ada foreign body ke, yang number one ya pasti X-ray lah, in term of diagnosis. Kalau in term of severity boleh pulse oximetry itu tadi, itu ya. Dan MBC boleh untuk cek di infection, nampak low semua je ni. Yang high apa ni? Lymphocytosis. Apa komen? Ain. SPO2 normal dah, saya bantu dah. Yang kuning-kuning komen apa Ain?
Yang komen?
Kuning, yellow.
Doktor punya komen kos ke?
Nah, comment, you give comment, interpret di MBC itu.
Oh, sorry. So she has since she has the low hemoglobin and MCV, MCH.
Oke, ada anemia apa? Anemia apa tuh?
Hypochromic microcytic.
Oke, microcytic. Apa possible diagnosis?
Possible diagnosis dia could be due to viral causes.
Oke lah, secondary from infection, tapi usually yang infection that cause hypochromic microcytic anemia will be chronic. Kan biasanya kan pneumonia acute. So macam ni kan it's good findings kan. Nampak your PE tadi unremarkable, tak nampak pucatnya, tapi ternyata HP dia low. Memanglah kalau HP masih atas 8 tak nampak sangat anemia. Actually HP below 10 you should get the anemia, clinical finding of anemia. Tapi sometimes ya below 8 baru nampak betul dia pucatnya. So we have a another problem of this patient. Dia ada hypochromic microcytic anemia. Nak discuss ke? Tak apalah, discuss je lah sikit-sikit. Apa? HCMC anemia most common will be iron deficiency anemia, IDA, yang use present ini seminar tu. So maknanya you kena proceed with iron study, cek di serum iron and total iron binding capacity TIBC. So tengok. Another common is thalassemia. So kalau tanyalah lagi buat family tree ada tak yang thalassemia, pernah screen tak? Most likely tak pernah screening ya, we do screen juga this patient has been analysis, maybe ada thalassemia. Dah, lain lagi yang limfosit tinggi ini apa your comment?
Just the underlying infection.
Tidak, ini bukan lah. Salah nih bagi reference range nih. Yang 3.5 to 11 tuh absolute count ya. Yang percentage limfosit tuh 25 to 45 lah. So salah nih.
Sebab saya refer senior, sorry tak check dulu doktor.
Saya kena belajar, kena review lah. Jangan semua patient macam itu tadi ikut je. Kalau nampak salah, you should revise lah. Problemnya patient ni total weight is normal, tapi nampak kan dia neutrophil predominan. Neutrophil dia tinggi sikit, 75% tu. So dia ada possibility bacterial infection. Memanglah pneumonia tu usually kalau dia distress tu ya bacterial pneumonia. So that's why guideline of management pneumonia ya give antibiotics. Renal profile nampak dia hyponatremia K, dia maybe karena distress dia poor oral intake. So X-ray nampak opacity ya, right middle and lower lobe haziness ya, okay. So haziness only maknanya dia bronchopneumonia ya, bukan lobar pneumonia. Kenapa saya je ni yang komen senyap je. Okay, next. Yang cepatlah, nanti belum yang second presenter. Dah pukul 10.30 lah. Itu kan, so that's why you give antibiotic even though total weight normal tapi dia ada neutrophil yang bagi antibiotik. Oksigen actually penting ya, and fluid. Betul lah. Yang ini salah sikit juga nih, yang hypoxia tu kalau SpO2 less than 95 ya, less than 95 kita dah bagi dah oksigen dah. Even though SpO2 normal macam tadi pun 98 kan, but patient with tachypnea kan, with respiratory distress, chest recession juga, better we support with oxygen treatment, give nasal pro. Okay. Another thing actually kan with crepitation despite chest physiotherapy maybe we can help with giving nebulization ya. But this is COVID area. Ini patient ini sekarang COVID punya season ke dulu nih? Bila nih patient nih?
Last year October. So dulu ya.
Sebelum COVID nih usually patient pneumonia pun we give nebulization. Kalau sekarang patient AIBA pun, exacerbation of asthma pun kita pakai MDI dulu lah. Kalau COVID negatif baru kita nebulize, karena nebulization is aerosol generating procedures ya. Oke lah, dah tanya apa lagi? Dan banyaklah discussnya. At least you learn something from this case. Jadi kalau you buat face to face, buat bedside, buat work, pergi ward, cari case, sudah belajar ya. Oke, next. Dah lah kan, discussion apa-apa tak payah present sangat lah. Jadi belajar sendiri. Oke, ada satu lagi ingat lah buat the investigation tu. Alright, patient kan pneumonia kan. Tadi ada yang cakap ada maybe bacterial or viral pneumonia kan. So how do you confirm? Nak hantar apa?
Sputum.
Okay, cool ya. So to know the possible etiologic agent organism, hantar sputum CNS for bakterialnya. Kalau viral ya Ideally we send viral isolation, but we don't do it routinely lah. Maybe only nasopharyngeal swab pun boleh untuk antar viral punya panel. Alright. So tu yang penting sputum. Tapi actually kalau one of the kaitan of pneumonia, buat kalau macam ni kan we start antibiotic. Actually we also send for blood CNS ya. Patient with infection that need antibiotic we usually send for blood CNS to rule out sepsis ya. Memang tapi usually result will be negative kan, because problem of the patient will be on the respiratory tract only. So only pneumonia, so blood CNS the yield is slow lah, result usually will negative, tapi we still send lah for routine investigation. Okay, alright. Ya, thank you. Next, lagi satu.
Thank you, Doctor.
Welcome.
Next case will be presented by me.
Okay, Nurul Putri ya.
Can everyone see my screen? The slide?
Yes, you can see.
Alright, moving on to the next case. With a chief complaint of a patient named Akif Irfan, a 10 months old Malay boy was brought by his parents to the accident and emergency department of HTUA due to rapid breathing and history of cough for 2 days. Okay, the HOPI is, according to the mother, the patient was apparently well until 2 days prior to admission when the patient had cough. And the cough was gradual onset and productive in nature with whitish sputum. The cough was also accompanied with runny nose and clear discharge, and the mother noticed that the child had noisy breathing because of the chesty cough. But the cough did not affect his level of activeness and sleeping pattern. The cough did not affect his feeding as he did not have any difficulties in swallowing the food, and the mother also denied any thick contact. There was no hemoptysis or no fever, and the cough was also not continuous in nature, and no barking like cough sound heard. There was no post-tussive vomiting, and then on the day of the admission, the mother noticed the child had rapid breathing and chest involving before they immediately brought to the clinic Kesehatan. The patient was not cyanotic and the patient was given nebulizer. However, the symptom was not resolved, and the patient was brought to the accident and emergency department in HTAA and was given nebulizer there and continued for every 4 hours in the pediatrics ward. Moving on to the systemic review. Generally, general systemic review is that the patient was pink, well and active. His appetite was good and as usual, and there was no rash. What is needed to be highlighted from this systemic review is in the head and neck systemic review is that there was clear discharge from his nose, no discharge from his eye and ears, and in respiratory system there was chesty cough, but the patient was not taking NIC. The rest of the system is not is okay. Moving on. To the first medical history. This is his second hospitalization, and on the first hospitalization, the patient was presented with rapid breathing and cough. And birth history, mother went to the antenatal checkup as scheduled, and she had no gestational diabetes mellitus or other maternal illness during pregnancy. However, she had low hemoglobin count. During labor, he was born at HDA through spontaneous vagina delivery at term with birth weight of 2.5 kilogram, and the process is uneventful. Postnatal, he had no neonatal jaundice. Nutritional history, he was exclusively breastfed for 3 months before her mother started mixed feeding with formula milk. He drinks the formula milk for about 9 ounces in volume or 5 liters for 5 times per day and start weaning with soft food at 6 months old. Now he already eating solid food such as rice, fruit, and fried chicken. He also did not take any vitamin or mineral supplements. Developmental history. Gross motor, he can stand holding on to the furniture. Fine motor, he had already developed pincer grabs. Speech language, he understands no and bye-bye and responds to name and localizes to the sound above and below the ear level. Social, he understands object permanence. Okay, moving on to the immunization history as shown. The immunization is up to his age as scheduled, and the patient has no known allergy. Moving on to the family history, is that the parents has no consensuous marriage and do not have any history of asthma or atopy. Social history, he is taken care by his mother, and his family live in Felda housing area in Sungai Ulang, Kuantan, in single-story terrace house. The total person lives in the house is 4, with good water and electric supply, with proper sewage disposal and good sanitation. Okay, they do not have pets or farm animals, no history or recent travel to water or swimming area. They have no financial problems and no family members who have similar symptoms. The father is a smoker and both parents do not consume alcohol. Okay, then for the physical examination, generally through general inspection, the patient looks active, interacting well with his mother, and there was no sign of respiratory distress and nasopharynx. He was not using the accessory muscle, and there was no cyanosis. He was well hydrated, and the nutritional status is good. There was no dysmorphism features. There was no attachment to patient's body, but there was nebulizer at the patient's back. On peripheral examination, the peripheries were warm to touch, no clubbing or peripheral cyanosis. Capillary fill time was less than 2 seconds, normal. BCG scar on the left arm. There was clear discharge from the nose. There was no neck swelling and cervical lymphadenopathy. There was also no rash and no edema. Oral hygiene of the patient was also good. Vital sign, respiratory rate 48 breaths per minute, normal. Pulse rate 160 beats per minute with good volume and regular rhythm. Blood pressure 110/66, normal tensive. Temperature 37 degrees Celsius, approval, and SpO2 is 97%. Anthropometric measurement, weight is 9.2 kilogram. Height is 71 centimeter. Head circumference is 46 centimeter. Systemic examination, just to highlight.
Puteri, so tadi kan dah explain banyak-banyak. Tak payah you baca semua. Baca yang positif, yang related finding je. Nanti tak payah you baca CVS, abdominal, neurological examination kan semua tak ada apa-apa. Problem dia kan, ini sama ya, similar situation. Dia no tachypneic tapi tak boleh you kata notion of respiratory distress ya. So ini another improper case report ya. Patient ni ada suprasternal recession, ada ronkai. So patient ni adalah mild respiratory distress, even though respiratory normal. Umur berapa tadi? 10 months ya?
10 months, ya.
Still normal respiratory tapi ada mild respiratory distress, dia ada chest recession dengan ronkai, ada masalah auscultation, ada ronkai. So itulah rasa findings. Dah lagi lepas ni diagnosis kan?
Lepas ni
Summary.
Diagnosis.
summary dulu lah. Summary balik, you summarize dulu sebelum we discuss diagnosis.
Oh yeah. For the summary of the case, yeah. The patient Muhammad Akif Irfan, a 10 months old Malay boy, was brought to the accident and emergency department of Hospital Tunku Abdul Afzal for rapid breathing on the day of admission with history of chest cough for 2 days. There were signs of lower respiratory tract infections such as cough, rapid breathing, chest in-drawing and noisy breathing. And on physical examination, there was occasional rhonchi on auscultation.
Oke, tadi history recurrency pas medical tak ada apa? Saya tadi tak ikut sangat. Coba tengok. Pas medical history, family, pas medical dulu lah. Second, the first also rapid breathing kan. Umur berapa ni tak tahu ya. Ini second apa? Second respiratory distress ni, possible recurrent lah, tapi tak apalah, still 10 month we diagnose apa? Bronchiolitis dulu. Family, coba tengok. Family, no allergy, okay lah, no history of asthma or atopy. Alright, so go to diagnosis lah. Kalau this one kan infant kan, 10 month old with respiratory distress ya, lower respiratory illnesses, and then ada rhonchi, ada lower airway obstruction. So memanglah professional diagnosis will be acute bronchiolitis, differential diagnosis pneumonia. Okay. Tadi dah discuss banyak kan. Ini kan similar apa namanya discussion kan with first case tadi. So kita dah discuss banyak sangat lah. Just nak confirm je. Ada yang tak agree tak dengan differential ni? Samimi Saleh. Last kali yang saya panggil group 1. Ada tak Samimi Saleh? Tadi kan yang awal tadi Sasha Samimi kan. Ini Samimi Saleh, Samimi sahaja ni. You agree ke tak agree with diagnosis and differential?
Yes, I agree.
Kena tambahkan apa-apa tak ada?
I guess no, because there's the negative finding has also been
alright.
Many other.
Tak apa, yang apa professional diagnosis dah okay, dah betul, dah agree. Tapi differential ni we need to discuss more actually. Kan macam tadi yang first case tadi, umur berapa tadi? 2 years kan, pneumonia, bronchopneumonia. Findings will be respiratory distress and lung crepitation kan. Kalau this case ya, despite distress, dia ada rhonchi. So ada beza sikit kan. So apa beza pneumonia yang tadi dengan yang sekarang? Usually in diagnosis kalau ada lower airway obstruction, ada rhonchi, kita sebut patient pneumonia with bronchospasm. Because bronchopneumonia itself actually it is an inflammation of the lung parenchyma and alveoli lah kan. So kalau dia ada rhonchi, ada lower airway obstruction, ada maknanya kita kena explain patient ini ada bronchospasm. Mana nih slide hilang. Kalau you nak put DDX pneumonia, kena mention dia with bronchospasm karena you dengar rhonchi. Okay, and then second tadi yang AIBA ya. Usually it will be very easy kalau diagnose asma tu after 6 years old karena dah tak ada DDX yang lain dah. Kalau patient 6 tahun, 10 tahun tu patient with rhonchi wheezing ya asma lah punca dia ya. Tapi kalau less than 6 years ni memang susah. And then we cannot confirm ya kalau AIBA tu asma tu, how do we confirm? Ya we do lung function test. Dia ada reduce lower airway obstruction, reduce apa namanya FEV1, after nap dia akan improve. Itulah baru kita tahu ini betul lah asma. Bronchoconstriction that improve with nebulization with bronchodilator. Tapi kalau masa umur patient 2 tahun, apalagi baby 10 bulan ya, usually how do we diagnose? Satu pasti recurrent, 2 is strong family history of atopy. Patient pun usually ada eczema, ada other atopic manifestation, dan family history of asthma atau other atopy dia kuat. So kita sebut asthma predictive index dia positif. Ya, nanti you baca ya pasal asthma tu in pitch protocol dah complete dah. Ada 10 or 11 pages in pitch protocol tu you baca betul-betul, and then once you understand you can diagnose asthma very well. So itu ya. Kalau macam this baby kan dah lah dia second, memanglah dia baru dua kali, tapi yang first dulu tak tahu diagnosis apa. And then no atopy, patient tak ada apa-apa, tak ada eczema, family history of atopy pun tak ada. So we don't diagnose asthma usually. But kalau patient ada atopy baru, and family ada atopy, baru kita diagnose asthma earlier than 6 years ya. Okay. So line up diagnosis boleh despite bronchiolitis, other lower airway obstruction kan kita sebut wheezing kan. Ada case yang kita sebut episodic wheeze atau viral induced wheeze. Lagi satu is multi triggered wheeze. Kalau this patient kan bukan multi triggered, dia tak ada alergi apa-apa. So possible diagnosis in this child actually better you put as viral induced wheeze. So kalau dia kena URTI, kena viral infection, dia wheeze. Kita sebut viral induced wheeze, atau boleh juga as kita sebut episodic ya. Actually episodic wheeze tu ada dua tadi. Classification of episodic wheeze can be viral induced atau multi trigger. In this case ya kita sebut episodic wheeze yang viral induced wheeze ya. Foreign body okay, agree je. Patient can have aspiration atau tertelan inhale apa-apa toys and then jadi rongkai. But usually kalau foreign body will be unilateral ya. Dia kalau masuk yang solid ni, kalau dia jadi rongkai dia akan masuk salah satu je kan, masuk only most likely will be only right bronchi. Kalau generalized rongkai kanan kiri, usually bukan foreign body. Okay ya. So itu je lah yang discussion pasal DDX ya. Pneumonia with spasm, kalau asma baik you letak viral induced wheeze lah. Okay, alright. So investigation pun sama ya, lebih kurang sama. Actually ini siapa tadi, Putri ya? Putri unmute ya.
Yeah.
Any investigation to confirm bronchiolitis?
To confirm ada chest X-ray.
No lah, salah lah jawapan. Bronchiolitis is clinical diagnosis. Jadi you jumpa pasien ni infant up to 2 years with lower airway obstruction, bronchi, you diagnose bronchiolitis, selesai ya. We don't diagnose based on X-ray. Oh, kalau X-ray hitam bronchiolitis, kalau X-ray putih pneumonia, no. Yeah. So even actually in protocol or guideline management of bronchiolitis, we don't do any investigation. Yeah. Kenapa kita buat investigation? Actually ya, to rule out differential. Ya. Tadi kan kita letak pneumonia with spasm, takutlah dia ada Hensinus atau lobar pneumonia, atau ada foreign body. Itu barulah buat X-ray. For bronchiolitis we don't do X-ray. Kalau you have case of bronchiolitis without differential diagnosis, dah very confident, oh itu kan bronchiolitis, tak payah buat X-ray, tak apa ya, tak salah. Tapi kalau you takut ada other differential tadi, you buatlah X-ray. Okay. Darah pun sama ya, darah pun usually kan will show viral findings. So nampak tu. Kalau yang ni betul lymphocyte absolute dia 7, tapi percentage kena ada patutnya. Yang total what 16. Kalau lymphocyte 7 point around 50% kan, almost 50% ya, more than 45% dia lymphocyte ya. So kita sebut lymphocyte predominant. So lymphocyte kalau predominant tu usually viral infection, which is most common cause of bronchiolitis. Most common agent apa organism Putri?
Respiratory syncytial virus.
RSV infection ya. Lain ada other viruses lah, boleh adenovirus, rhinovirus, influenza pun boleh jadi bronchiolitis ya. Yang tak agree kat sini is sputum serology lah. Kalau we diagnose as viral infection, we don't sense sorry, cuma serology ya, bukan sputum CNS memang kita tak hantar ya, because non bakterial. Kalau serology ini hantar apa nih? Usually not sputum. Nah, serology ini kita hantar nasopharyngeal swab. Untuk diagnose tadi RSV, apalagi tadi influenza itu kita hantar nasopharyngeal swab. Bukan sputum ya.
Okay.
Dah apa nak tanya? Investigation tak ada lah kan. So treatment apa?
For this patient, for particularly for bronchiolitis, yes.
Treatment of bronchiolitis apa?
Mainly dia bagi symptomatic treatment.
Mainly apa?
Symptomatic.
Not really ya. Actually supportive ya.
Yeah, supportive.
Kalau simptom saja kita bagi ya, sportif kan. Usually ya memang bronchiolitis kita bagi oksigen. NAPS pun actually is not indicated kan. Beza different kalau AIBA, asma kan bronchoconstriction we give salbutamol, we give bronchodilator, tapi bronchiolitis is not bronchoconstriction, it is inflammation kan. So we don't give salbutamol actually. No benefit of giving salbutamol in bronchiolitis. Kalau yang begini nebulization pun bukan bronchodilator, tapi dia ada protokol of giving hypertonic saline ya. Normal saline itu berapa percentage dia? Putri tahu tak? 0.9% ya. Tak apalah, masih year 3 tak tahu. Kalau year 5 tak tahu, saya suruh pergi ke ward sampai cari tahu ya. Masalah itu 0.9% selain dia sodium and potassium dia 0.9% from the volume ya. Kalau nak hypertonic saline usually kita cari yang 3% saline. Itu for bronchiolitis. So, kalau bronchiolitis we don't give salbutamol actually ya. Cerita lain kalau tadi kalau ada pneumonia with spasm ya give salbutamol boleh. Kalau apa lagi viral induced wheeze, dia wheezing ya boleh bagi salbutamol. AIBA pasti bagi salbutamol ya. Kalau bronchiolitis actually we don't give ya. Yang penting oxygenation ya, supportive ya, and maybe fluid lah. Kalau patient with respiratory distress kan the problem will be poor oral intake, muntah, so we give IV fluid maintenance. I think itu aja cukup ya. Supportive treatment oxygen with fluid boleh. Oke ya.
Oke.
Dah, nak tanya apa lagi?
Doktor, I want to ask.
Nanti instruction for the presenter before you present despite you review the case macam mana you tak tahu, tapi kan at least you tahu ini salah, ini betul. Is you read at least speech protocol ya. Jadi speech protocol pneumonia, speech protocol bronchiolitis. Kalau boleh you add on with other references, baca Nelson, baca other textbooks, Sunflower boleh. Barulah you present supaya kalau kita discuss tu you boleh jawab. Kalau tak pernah baca references tanya. Hello? Oke ya. So itu kena baca references dulu yang presenter. Yang lain pun kalau you nak baca lagi bagus supaya boleh bantu jawab ya. Alright. So siapa yang nak tanya tadi?
I want to ask about the investigation. does for bronchiolitis, does pulse oximetry compulsory to do?
Pulse oximetry is not for the bronchitis, not for the asthma, not for the disease. Compulsory is not for the pulse oximetry is for the condition. Yeah, any patient with respiratory distress, you must check with spirometry. Yeah. So regardless the causes, regardless the disease. Yeah. Supaya tahu dia how severe is the respiratory distress. Biasa nampak nafas laju, nampak chest drawing. Make sure berapa SpO2 dia. Apalagi kalau pasien nampak cyanosis. Kalau pasien cyanosis, SpO2 must be less than 90. Maybe kalau udah nampak biru itu usually less than 80 lah, 70% or less ya pasti akan nampak biru. Tapi sometimes tak nampak biru, distress, pasien SpO2 only 92, sometimes only 86. Belum nampak biru lagi tapi dia in distress. So that's why you need spirometry. Spirometry pula, sorry pulse oximetry ya. This one yang pulse oximetry ya. Tadi pulse oximetry kan tadi coba tengok balik investigation ini. Ini kan pulse oximetry kan. Tadi siapa? And then Samimin nak tanya spirometry ke pulse oximetry?
Oximetry.
Oximetry kan betul. So, nak tengok di respiratory distress, bukan nak diagnose bronchitis, bukan.
Thank you, Doctor.
Kalau spirometry tadi yang lung function test untuk confirm diagnosis asma, how severe the obstruction. Okay. Ya, boleh. Boleh ya, so today we discuss respi case. Nanti next time discuss case lain ya, jangan asyik berisan case sama ya bosan. Kalau boleh with other lecturer pun you terus cari case lain ya. Ada sistem pasti, and then kalau nak respi pun you nak berisan asma kan AIBA kan belum present, boleh you discuss for more details ya. About how to diagnose, how to manage. Okay, alright. Dah, okay. We close our session with tasbih kafarah. Subhanallah. Alright, thank you all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Doctor.
Waalaikumsalam. Okay,